Hello, my name is Becca Taylor, and I am here to talk to you about being a piano accompanist. I primarily play for choirs, however, I will work with a soloist here and there. A few times a year, I'll play for solo, voice recital, or violin. But today I'm primarily going to be talking about accompanying choirs and working with a director. So the first thing I want to make note of is this is certainly not an exhaustive list. It's just a few things that I wanted to talk about and pinpoint, but there are several videos out on YouTube that are really helpful, and I would definitely recommend listening to those as well. So the first thing I wanted to mention, and that is prep your pieces as if they were piano solos. So when I'm working on a piece of music, I look and say, where are my phrases? Where's the melody? If I am playing a melody that is with chords, I'm always going to think and listen for bringing out the top note of that melody. So think as if you were playing a solo piece. You really want to be as musical as possible. Sometimes I'll see pianists accompanying for groups, and it just seems like they are bored out of their mind. Try to make it sound as interesting as possible, and maybe you are bored. Maybe the music is super easy, not very fun, but make it sound as if you are having the time of your life. Make the choir sound as good as you possibly can. That's our job. So, prep as if you were a solo, number one. Number two, know your role in the music. So, listen to the choir. Listen to their melody. Are you being just kind of like an accompaniment figure underneath them right now? Or maybe you have a duet with them. How are they phrasing that melody that you have in just a few measures? Can you match their phrasing? Breathe with them. That is something that is easy to not do, but if you're breathing with them, you're going to be feeling the music the same as them. And again, as an accompanist, piano collaborator, our job is for them to make them sound good. And so the more we know and are in tune with how they're singing, the better we're going to be able to do our job. So that's number two. Number three, when you are preparing, play at least a few times with a good recording of a group doing the same piece. I like to put headphones in, and if you have noise canceling ones, that's even better. So you can really hone in on, I try to really listen to the choir, but also the piano, and literally play along with them. It will help you to know the tempos really well. It will clue you into ritardandos, accelerandos, caesuras. And although your director probably isn't going to do it the same as that recording, it's just going to really prep you well so that you have somewhat of an idea of what to expect. So I find that to be really helpful to know if I'm prepared or not, if I can play with a recording. The other thing I want to mention is always be able to play it a little bit faster than the tempo that is marked, or even than the videos that you're finding online. There have been more times than one that I get there and the director is like going way faster than the tempo marking. And I practice with the metronome. And I'm like caught a little off guard because I did not practice it that fast. And so always better to be able to play it faster if need be. than be stuck in that spot of like, crap, I've never played it this fast before. So different tempos is really helpful. You don't want to always practice it fast, obviously. The other thing I want to mention, I'm getting off on my numbers, but know the choir parts. Sometimes it's easy to just look at the music and go, oh, I can play that, that's fine. They're parts, but practice it at least once or twice through each part, because you're gonna be called on, most likely, like 99% sure, to at least play like 2 measures for the group, unless it's some all-state group that just like knows everything. So be able to play the parts. At least, you should be able to at least do, I would say, 2 lines together. If you can play all 3, that's great. It just depends, or 4. Really depends on the music, but I would say plan to at least play 2 at a time. When you are rehearsing with the choir or performing, number 1 rule, always have the director in your mind. So obviously you want to always be able to see them, but it's really easy to forget about them and just kind of go in your own world. But one thing that's difficult to do as a pianist or accompanist is to always have them in mind. It's like another element that we have to think about. Notes, rhythm, pedaling, musicianship, listening to the choir, watching the director. So there's a lot to do with our job, but how fun. So always keep the director in sight. I want to mention, I kind of make it a game to see how well I can stay exactly with the director. How can I line up each beat or note or cue just right with them. It's a game for me. It's really fun to just like try and make it exact. Not always is it going to be exact. We're human. Some directors are easier to follow than others. That is for sure. But as accompanists, our job is to follow as best as possible. The other thing I want to mention along those lines is position the piano so that you can see the director the best. It's our responsibility to put the piano where we need it. I know a lot of times, like almost all the time, they'll always ask the director first, where do you want the piano? Go with that. Sit down though, have the director where they are. If you can't see them, it's your job to say, hey, this isn't gonna work, I can't see you. For me, I prefer, my favorite spot is if the piano is sitting this way and they are like straight in my view. I don't love it when they're at my side and I have to see them in my periphery. Sometimes you can't do anything about it. That's the way the stage is and it's filled with singers, and that's the best option. But if I have my perfect world, the director's always going to be like straight so that I'm seeing my music and I'm seeing them all at the same time. When you are in rehearsal with a choir, listen to everything the director is saying. Even if it's not really pertaining to you, maybe it's about their breath. Like, that's not really going to affect me, but they might put in one sentence in that whole 20 minutes of talking about breath that will affect you, and you are supposed to catch it and know it. When they make marks of breathe here or dynamics, anything like that, I write it in my music. I don't always write in the pronunciation, but if it's so different than the word that's written there, it might screw me up if they're saying something that looks different, so I'll write that in too. So really, I try to just look at myself as a choir member as well as the pianist, because really we are, and just write down every information that you can, listen to everything that they say. I know it's easy to get distracted. I will be the first to say that I do that, but as much as you can, try to pay attention to what they're saying. I will also put in that it is always okay to ask questions. When I first got started, I was scared to. I thought, well, I should just know that, shoot, I won't ask. But in reality, if I don't know something, it's my responsibility to know it and my job to ask the question. And you might be surprised, more than often, they're glad you asked that question. The choir's glad you asked that question. And it just goes to say there is really no stupid question. The next thing I want to mention is that if there's anything you could buy to be a better collaborative pianist, it would be an iPad. You can be an awesome collaborative pianist without an iPad, but it is probably, I'm not even going to say probably, it's the number one thing that has really changed the game for me. If you get an iPad and you get 4Score, you can have all of your music in there. It's so easy to rearrange pages for the codas. You don't have to print extra. You can also get the Pro feature, and I turn pages literally by twitching my lips, which is a game changer. There are so many times like you'll have 4 measures on one page, that's it, and you're turning and you're turning and you're turning. There's no way I could be playing as seamlessly if I had to turn physical pages as I can by twitching my lips. So game changer, I could not recommend it more. It is expensive, but if you have the funds, it will pay off. And then the last thing I want to say is have fun. I would go as far as to say that there's few things that are more fun for me than to be playing with the choir, to be playing music, listening to like this gorgeous sound that 50, 80, maybe 10 human voices are making, and I get to collaborate with that and be getting to watch a director and make music with all of these people. It transports me to a place that is bigger than me. And I just gotta say, like, really, if you're having fun, you're probably doing a really good job. So enjoy this job. It's a hard one. It's often underappreciated unless you have wonderful directors, which I will say I've had the privilege to work with wonderful people. So keep at it, have fun, and I hope that these few things that I mentioned might be helpful for you. If you have any questions or want to make your own points to contribute, I would love to hear those, and feel free to put them in the comments. Thanks.